This is the second part of worksheet 1.6. So this is solving compound inequalities and graphing the solutions. These compound inequalities are probably the more difficult ones for many people. What I like to do is when I solve an equation, I like to think of there being a line down it. So I remember that what I do to one side of the line or the equation, I do to the other side. Now, a lot of you don't need to do that, but on this part, I would suggest that you do that. Make a little dashed line, because now what's crazy about this is there's not a left side of the equation and a right side of the equation. There is a left, middle, and right. And so k, the variable that we're trying to get by itself or undo things around from, is in the middle. And so what's being done to k? It's being added by 3. So we need to subtract 3. But here's the deal. I subtracted 3 from the middle expression. Now I need to do it from the right expression and the left expression. And if I don't do that to all 3, I will not get the right answer. So on the left, I get 6 minus 3 is 3. On the right, I get 13 minus 3 is 10. In the middle, I have found what k is. Now I did not multiply or divide by a negative number, so I do not need to flip the direction of the inequalities. Graphing these can get confusing. Start at the k and read from the k. As I read to the right, this yellow portion says k is less than or equal to 10. Well, that's pretty easy to graph, right? So go close dot at 10 and squiggle to the left. But don't squiggle forever and ever, because then we also have to satisfy this statement. Read from the k. In the blue box it says k is greater than 3. So open dot at 3 and we're squiggling to the right. So the solution is everything in between these two numbers, including the number 10. Not including the number 3. It has to be bigger than 3. Let's try this again. So squiggle down each inequality, gives you a left, middle, and a right. Figure out which parts k is in. K is in the middle. Figure out what's being done to it and how do you undo it. I need to divide everything here. I'm going to rewrite it just so I have some space. I have to divide everything here by -8 to undo multiplying by 8. To undo multiplying by -8. So divide each side, the middle, the right, and the left by -8. So we get -4. Hey, k is all by itself, and we get -8 on the right. Now, because I divided by a negative number, I need to flip the direction of each of the inequalities. Just like that. So this says k is less than -4, so go to -4, fill it in, squiggle to the left, and now this says k is greater than or equal to -8. So close dot at -8 and squiggle to the right. And there is your solution. Next one, we're going to add 10 to each side of the inequality. Add 10, add 10. So we get -22 plus 10 is -12. These cancel out. We get 3n, and we get 27. We did not multiply or divide by a negative number, so bring down your inequalities. Now divide by 3. So we get -4. And now I didn't divide by a negative either. I divided by a positive, so I'm not flipping the direction of the inequalities. So bring them down the way they are. -4, we get n, and we get 9. So to write that prettier, it looks like this. Now to graph it, again, read from the n. Doesn't matter which direction you read first. So in the green box, reading from the n, it says n is greater than or equal to -4. So close dot at -4. N is greater than or equal to -4, so squiggle to the right. In the red circle, it says n is less than or equal to 9. So that's a closed dot at 9, and we're squiggling where numbers are less than 9, so that's this way. And there we are. There's our solution. All right, let's keep rocking. So here we're going to subtract 3 from each side to undo adding 3. So we get negative 42, 6x, negative 6x. Ooh, that would be a big boo-boo if I forgot that negative sign. 6. And again, we didn't multiply or divide by a negative, so I copy down the inequality symbols. So now x is still in the middle of this inequality, so I need to undo multiplying by negative 6 by dividing by negative 6. And what I do to the middle, I have to do to the right and to the left. But holy cow, I just divided by a negative sign. And so when I divide by a negative, I need to flip the direction of the inequalities. So I'm going to actually do that right now before I even start thinking about calculating numbers, so I don't forget to do it since it's on my mind. So I get x in the middle, and I get positive 7 and negative 1. So now let's graph this. Read from the x. This says x is less than 7. So open dot at 7. Less is this direction. This says x is greater than or equal to negative 1. So close dot at negative 1. X is greater than or equal to negative 1. Greater numbers are to the right. So there we go. All right. Now these, think of as two separate inequalities. There's one. I'm going to solve that. So there's just a left and a right side. X is on the left. It's being multiplied by 3. So to undo that, I divide by 3. I divide by 3. You didn't see that, did you? So we get x is less than or equal to negative 2. And again, I did not flip the symbol there because what I divided by was a positive 3. So negative 2, close dot, squiggle to the left. Now there's this second inequality that we need to simplify, well, in this case, just solve. So let's do that one. So x is on the left, it's being subtracted by 9. So we need to add 9 to each side. Oops, I copied the problem wrong. That happens. Let's fix that. So I add 9, I get x. I did not multiply or divide by a negative, so I do not flip the direction of the symbol. I get x is greater than or equal to negative 1. So close dot at negative 1, where the number is greater than negative 1, to the right. Next one. Let's do a different color. X is less than x minus 9 is less than negative 9. And then the other one is negative 4x is less than negative 16. So the first one, x is getting subtracted by 9, so we'll add 9. So we get x is, don't flip the symbol because you didn't multiply or divide by a negative, x is less than 0. All right, so open dot at 0, and now numbers that are less than that are to the left. Over here, x is getting divided, x is getting multiplied by negative 4. How do you undo that? You divide by negative 4. So here I'm dividing by a negative. So before I calculate anything, I'm going to take this inequality and have it eat or face the other way. So we get x, in this case now, is greater than positive 4. So open dot at polar positive 4, squiggled to the right. That was pretty exciting. They tried to trick you on that one, but we're better than that. Let's do one last one. So 4x plus 5 is less than 13. So we'll subtract 5, we get 4x is less than 8. Divide by 4, divide by 4. You get x is less than 2. So open dot at 2, squiggling to the left. Other one, 10 plus 7x is greater than or equal to 31. Now x here is getting multiplied by 7, and to the x we're also adding 10. So I have to undo addition and subtraction first, so I'll undo adding 10 by subtracting 10. So we get 7x is greater than or equal to 21. Now we divide by 7. Yes, I'm dividing, but it's by a positive 7, so no, I do not flip the direction of the inequality. So I go to 3, and I fill that dot in because there's an equal sign underneath. And now I squiggle to the right, just like that. Yee-haw. Oh, please do the last one, Mr. Pischke. Okay, you twisted my arm. So we would subtract 9, subtract 9. we get 7n is less than or equal to negative 49. Divide by positive 7. Because we're dividing by a positive, we do not flip the direction of our inequality, only if what we're dividing by, which is the bottom number, is negative. So close dot at negative 7, and is less than 7 is less than negative 7 is to the left. Last one, 6n plus 8 is greater than 26. So we subtract 8 and subtract 8, we get 6n is greater than 18. We divide by 6, we divide by 6. N is greater than 3. So we do an open dot at 3, and then it's greater to the right. Boom.